What's going on, everyone? How you doing? I hope you're doing well. Got another interesting Twitter trash for you guys. Feeling good, got the backwards hat on, got my plugs in, and most importantly, this video is sponsored by the company that I've been rocking with for a couple years now, Raycon. Guys, as I've said many times before, I am a connoisseur of earbuds, headphones, and whatnot. And I would not be rocking with these guys for a couple years if they weren't fantastic. And Raycon is fantastic, especially their latest brand of the everyday earbuds. They look, feel, and sound better than ever, and they got this optimized gel tips for a perfect ear fit. They're so comfortable, and dude, they will not budge no matter what you do. Check it out. You can just go like crazy. Look at that. Look at this shit falls off, but this stays in. They have 8 hours of playtime, 32 hours of battery life, and they have 3 sound profiles. They have a pure sound, they have a balanced sound, and they have a bass sound. I love all of them, whether I'm listening to podcasts, listening to metal, or I'm listening to EDM and hip-hop. Like, switching through them makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad that they have that. And another cool feature is the noise isolation mode and their awareness mode. If you want to be more aware, you put it on awareness mode. If you want noise to be completely cut off, you put it on isolation mode, which is pretty much what I always have it on. So you know they feel good, you know they sound good, and they just look fantastic. I love that, man, because some earbuds you see just look terrible. They don't look good, and I'm glad these look fantastic, and it's no wonder why they have over 50,000 5-star reviews. So if you want to get your hands on these bad boys, click the link in the description below, or go to buyraycon.com/SBG and get 15% off your Raycon purchase, baby. You won't regret it. Trust me.
Supreme victory!
So the first thing we have to talk about is Jordan Peterson versus Twitter. It's been very interesting. For people that haven't been paying attention, I'll bring up the timeline of events of what's happened recently. So Jordan has he claims that he despises Twitter. If you guys remember, he said some not so nice things about a plus size model and said she's not beautiful and whatnot, and he got a lot of pushback even from his own fan base, and he was really upset, and he said he was going to leave Twitter. He never did. And then he made a tweet during Pride Month, and it was in regards to Elliot Page, and he was saying that the physician that did his top surgery is criminal, just a lot of things that obviously pissed off a lot of people, and is also against the Twitter guidelines, specifically dead naming Elliot, right? So he gets suspended, a temporary suspension. All he has to do is delete the tweet, and then he'll be fine afterwards. Then he made a video which was promoted by the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's network, right? Saying that he'd rather die than delete the tweet.
It is clearly the case that I did not master female breasts, and I would rather die than do that. Which
many people, even people within his fan base, not all of them, I think most people supported him because they just, they love anything he says. It doesn't matter what he says, they're just gonna like it. He's very charismatic, and then it's kind of cultish at this point, where they won't even kind of check anything he says, whether it's factual or not. They don't care. And so, right, it's at that point. And then still not leaving Twitter or being away from it, even though he made a video talking about how terrible it is. He makes another video talking about how insane Twitter is. And I just, at this point, you kind of have to understand what's happening. It's pretty simple that he's milking this whole situation. Some people speculated that from the very beginning, he was trying to get banned in the first place to basically boost his numbers, because we talk about canceling and stuff like this, but when stuff like this happens, people don't get canceled, they get propped up. I even jokingly say sometimes, like, man, sometimes I wish I was in some crazy controversy, but I'm just chill. I'm always just chilling, just doing my thing. I don't care enough to get into these weird things or to try to get banned or whatever the heck. And because if something happened, a bunch of people would come rallying to my rescue. They would do all this stuff. They would prop you up, and companies would come and they would throw money at you. They'd try to get interviews. You would get instant clout. I've seen some of my peers do this stuff. Naturally, it was very organically. Stuff has happened to them. I've seen some people insert themselves into drama. Like, it works. Like, I don't work that way, but I've seen it happen and it be very successful for people. So I'm someone that sees what's going on, and him making multiple videos about Twitter, talking about how much he hates Twitter, he's going to leave Twitter, he doesn't leave Twitter. And then you see like his own daughter, Michaela, talking about how his podcast has grown exponentially after the Twitter ban or, suspension. And it's just one of those things where you see like zero consistency. And I've tweeted about like kind of how silly this stuff is. I've made some comments and I've laughed about like, wow, he's still going. He's still doing this. And there's a few people that were upset. There's people saying like, oh, imagine defending censorship. And I just find it really funny because there is such a very big difference to me when there is like something that is complete BS. And it's like, why did this happen? This happened out of nowhere. It happens with Twitter a lot, for example, and it happens with YouTube a lot, for example. Like, there are things that happen. It's like my account getting banned for impersonating Trump. I didn't think that was offensive enough to be permanently banned. I didn't even get a timeout. They didn't even give me a chance to delete my tweets or anything. I just got permanently suspended. I thought that was BS, but I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. I'm a grown adult. I'm just going to move forward and just go about my business, because at the end of the day, it's just Twitter. And if I were at the level of Jordan Peterson, where I had 5 million subscribers on my YouTube channel, I have who knows how many people supporting me on monetarily on other platforms. I have a deal with the Daily Wire and all this stuff. People are going to be watching me everywhere. Millions of people are still going to be following me on other social media platforms like Facebook and whatnot. I wouldn't give two solitary shits about Twitter at all. Especially if I claim to hate it and say it's a cesspool and it's so insane. I would be done with the platform. I'd be like, this is BS. I don't want anything to do with this. I don't even need it. It doesn't really even get, when you talk about impressions and numbers that he gets on there, not very much when he's promoting his stuff. It doesn't really contribute that much. The people are already subscribed. So why are you still there? You know what I'm saying? So it comes down to one or two things. There is an addiction, which is totally possible because a lot of people are addicted to social media. And you would think Jordan Peterson would know better, but if you've been following his life, you know that addiction is something that is a very real thing for him, and it's not so easy to shake. Just having like rules and structure is not enough for him to just be able to kick something. He needed some extra help to get rid of his addiction, and I'm not even putting him down for that, because some people just have that sort of personality. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, so is it that? Is he actually literally addicted to Twitter and he needs to tweet? Or is there something else going on? It's hard to really know. Only Jordan Peterson knows the answer. But I just wanted to kind of address this stuff, because there's a lot of his audience that just will not be reasonable at all. They see that like, oh, him being temporarily suspended is such an injustice, where, hey, you broke the rules, man. Unfortunately, Twitter is a private company. A lot of people, even including myself, would like it to be like a public space. They would like it to be subsidized. They would like it to be something that it becomes like a utility, right? But then all of a sudden, there are a lot of people that, even though they claim they would benefit from it and they would love that, they would also see that sort of thing as, oh, spooky socialism. And you know how the buzzwords. So it always gets tricky where these people, they want what would make sense, but at the same time, then it's like, well, they are a private company, and you guys do respect the private companies. The same people that are mad about this are the same people that are always protecting the businesses that say, oh, a bakery that doesn't want to bake a cake for a gay couple, right? Because they don't believe in gay marriage or whatever, all that kind of stuff. And it says this is their right. This should be their right. They should be able to do this because it's a private business and blah, 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 rights and this, and that. And then when it comes to Twitter, they happen to disagree with that now, because it is affecting them, of course, right? There's no consistency, and there should be consistency. It's like, all right, so you want to override their rules because you don't like them, right? Like the other people that don't want them to have bigoted rules for the cake thing. So what are we going to do here, right? It's a very interesting conversation, but it's like, y'all need to be consistent first and foremost when it comes to that stuff. And second of all, like examining what happened, where it's like, if you're actively going out of your way to be a dickhead to somebody, It's very different than you trying to just make a solid point, right? If you're just trying to make a solid point about like, well, I think this, and so and that, then I can say, oh, that's messed up that you got banned for that. But if you're just trying to be a dickhead, I'm like, why should I feel bad about that? Oh, you should have the right on this private entity to just be a dick. You should just have that right. Like, why do I feel bad about that? I wouldn't feel. It's like me being annoyed by me getting banned for what I did. I was being an idiot. I was impersonating Trump. It was funny. People liked it, but it's still, they have rules, and I'm like, this sucks. Like, give me a pat on the wrist at least. Give me a slap on the wrist. But I'm like, it is what it is. I've moved on. It's been a while. I didn't make a bunch of videos. I didn't blame and call Twitter woke moralists and all this stuff for just enforcing their stupid rules. And I think that's really important to focus on as well. The rules, it's not like I just agree with them, but what can I do? It is not my property. And I feel like that is so important. It's like the grocery stores, right? When the grocery stores were saying, you need a mask to enter this into our business. And there was people coming in maskless saying, I should have the right to this. Why should you have the right? Why should your rights trump their personal and private property? It shouldn't, obviously. Imagine someone coming into your house uninvited and you're like, get out of my house. This is my property. And like, oh, I want to be here. I want to be here, so my right to be here and want to be here should trump your property. It doesn't work that way, obviously. We all know it doesn't. But there's some people that always want to have their cake and eat it too. And I feel like it's this sort of situation where not every single thing is just excusable. It's like, oh, this was taken down. Oh, you're censoring me. What about freedom of speech and all this stuff? And I'm like, you can't use that for every single thing. Right? Like, if you're just actively trying to be a dick and go against the rules purposefully, like, why should anybody be giving you a pass for that? Why should anybody give you sympathy for that specifically? I just totally disagree with that. I feel like there's people that just trying to say some things, and they say things on accident. Sometimes they're ignorant of the rules, and if there is a permaban or something like that, then I think that's a little crazy. Right? But if you know what you're doing and you get banned for doing it, why should I feel bad about it? And look, I also want to say this as well. I had a conversation with Jordan Peterson back in 2017. And at the time, I enjoyed it. I thought with his self-authoring program, he was helping a lot of people. And I think nowadays, where he shifted into, I personally think he's hurting a lot of people now. You know, there's a lot of people that may disagree with that, but I think the type of language he's using, where, like, for example, in his video when he's saying Pride's a sin, he's talking about Pride Month, and you know damn well Jordan Peterson knows the difference between being proud of something, being proud of who you are, and hubris. He knows the difference. When the sinful pride in the Bible is hubris, and then there's people who are just proud of who they are because, you know, they're not afraid of being out loud and proud because there's people that hate them and think they shouldn't exist. There are people to this day, there are people that are very religious zealots that think they're all going to burn in hell. All of these LGBTQ people, they don't want them to exist. There's hateful. I can give you hours of footage of pastors, preachers saying they should die and all this crazy stuff. It's very easy and accessible if you want to see it, if you want to see the horrors of the real world. So them coming out and saying we're proud of who we are and we're not going to hide away just because you hate us. How is that sinful? And he knows this. And that's very fucked up. And for you to, you know, for anybody to, I guess, support that, to defend that, I'm like, I feel like you've lost your way as a human being, as a good human, because these people are people. And then there's people trying to dehumanize them. Just by, oh, this is sinful. You're sinful for You know, all these time people will literally would drag gay people in behind cars until they die for simply being gay. I just saw a story yesterday of a trans man camping, trying to actually do the sensible thing and ask the camp owner, which bathroom should I use? Well, you have female genitalia. You know, you were born a woman. You got to use the woman's bathroom. A girl within the bathroom is like, what are you doing in here, you creepy man? Because dude looks like a man. Transition to a man, looks like a man. Some dude bros beat the crap out of the dude. The cops arrest the trans man. Yeah, there's still some problems going on, and these people want to be proud of who they are, and they want to get to a point where that shit doesn't have to happen. Back in the day, a few years ago, there was the whole SJW movement. There's all that stuff going on. Anti-SJW has propped up. There was a lot of people within the quote-unquote anti-SJWs who were liberal. They were checking their own camp. They were like, yo, you guys need to reel it in a little bit. I don't really see that happening on the conservative side. I really don't. I see people just kind of smiling and nodding and clapping their hands like they're seals and stuff. And it kind of just, I'm like, what's going on over here? Like, is this, people would tell me, well, this has been them the entire time. And I'm just like, well, I mean, something's got to give, man. Something like, this is not how you move forward. Like, dehumanizing people is not how you move forward. So when I talk about this situations with Twitter and Jordan Peterson and everything, I'm staying true to myself. Maybe he is too, but I'm just speaking out and saying, I don't think the shit that he's doing is cool. I don't think it is, man. And all I can say at the end of the day is just prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. I just want to say thank you for watching this if you made it all the way through. And I want to give a big shout out to my Hard R patrons and my hardest of art, Hugger Derek, the movie manager, Ashley M, Olverim, and Jacob S. Dude, I appreciate you guys. And if you guys want to become a patron of mine, I got a new patron. It's all revived and it's all revamped. And there'll be a video coming soon talking about all of that stuff and other things that I got going on behind the scenes that are really important to me. But yeah, you guys have a good one, and I hope you took something from this. And I'll see you in the next one.